Hey guys, Laird here, back again with another review, and today we'll be taking a look at the NECA Toys TMNT Eastmond and Laird Mirage Comics Mutant Shredders, or multi-arm shredder with shrimp shredder accessory figure, whichever you prefer. But before we get into the meat and taters of this review, I would first of all like to say that this review right here is brought to you in part by my good buddy Evil Villain. Click the link in the description below and check him out on Instagram. Let him know I sent you, but as always, be nice. You will be destroyed, because I will find you, and you will not like it. That said, he didn't actually get this for me. I actually picked it up for him. He paid me back for it, and he was nice enough to let me open it up and check it out for a review, because, you know, God forbid anyone sends me the shit I already paid for. You know, I'm just trying to build this channel, and here I am with no content and no money, yet Four Horsemen are sitting on probably $2,000 of my money right now, and Animal Warriors is sitting on almost $500,000 of my money, and I'm sure Mezco's going to take about $250 in a couple of weeks here, so I hate not being monetized. So, subscribe to the channel so I don't have those problems anymore. But with that being said, this is part of the whole Target Haulathon spiel. If you guys remember the fiasco that was Haulathon 2022, well, they decided to do it again, except this time there's no gargoyles. So, first and foremost, screw you for not doing that, because God forbid we get the Manhattan Clan before I get hit by a bus or something. And second, we're going to get into that, because I got a bone to pick with NECA over this one, because, well, for those of you who know the Mutant Shredders from not only the Mirage comics, but also the 2003, 2000X TMNT series that I personally grew up with, or even the 2012 CGI series that was on Nickelodeon. I think the other one was on Cartoon Network, if I'm not mistaken. I don't believe they were in the 80s show, or 90s show, whatever show, the old one, where Rob Paulson and Cam Clark were prominent voice actors on that series. You remember there might be a third one of these guys, okay? Well, there's a reason why that one's not here, and we're going to get into that. But before this turns into a rant, because it's probably going to, we got some accessories to talk about, mostly for the big guy. He's got a pair of grip hands, Kung Fu grip hands. I did have to straighten out the claw on, I think, this hand. But I just held it to the hairdryer and blasted the snot out of it, and it straightened it out, so that's cool. Why he's got grip hands and nothing to put in them, I don't know. I would have preferred just extra fists and extra style pose hands, if I'm being honest with you. Just what he's got, but just two more of each. And we got some karate chop hands. These hands make a little bit more sense. You don't need to put something in them. And then on top of that, he does come with some battle damage. I watched Toy Bros review this guy. I think they're called worms. The worms. Because there's a reason for this. We'll get into that in a minute. And then if you want to count this guy as an accessory, we got the Shrimp Shredder, who's got a little bit of articulation. He's got a double ball peg in the head. Can look around. These shoulder pads are a softer material, but they are pretty rigid. So, you know, heat stuff up. Don't be a dumbass. You can rotate his arms. He's got a bit of a butterfly in there, so I don't know what kind of freaking joints in here. I feel like a hinge swivel would have been just fine. He's got nothing in the elbow, nothing in the gauntlet. I wish he had something in the gauntlet so he's not just doing the... I don't know. He almost looks like a vintage Motu figure. I mean, look at the way this guy's standing. It's kind of funny. But he's got the waist swivel. And then get this. He's got ball socket hips, which that's fine. He's got ankle hinge with a rocker, but no elbow and no knee joints? I feel like they could have just left the feet in one pose. You got the ball joint in the leg, you would have been fine, but if they're going to give figures this tiny, like, ankle rocker and hinge, I would like something in the elbows, maybe, and the knees, just to straighten them out, but it is what it is. It's cool. For the price point, I think it's acceptable. The sculpt's good, the paint's clean. These are actually pretty freaking sharp, so be careful with those. And then we got the big guy, forearm shredder, who's not as big as you might think he is, and we'll talk about that more during size comparisons, but he's pretty cool. You know, I'm a fan of Goro and from Mortal Kombat and Forearms from Ben 10, and I reviewed that Tyranid Genestealer not too long ago from Warhammer, and you could say I'm a connoisseur of forearm figures, and this guy's no exception. But as far as his articulation goes, he feels like he's got a disc hinge, or I don't know if his neck moves or what, but it feels like he's got like a double ball peg or something in there. He's got a little bit of tilt, not a ton. He's got a hinge in the shoulder, which on this top arm can go up about that far. I will say these do get soft when they're heated, but they are very sharp still, like hurdy, ouchie, ouchie sharp, so be careful with that. When the shoulders go up and down, they move forward and back. I did heat this guy up to get the shoulders to move a little bit more freely, so take that into account when you're messing with this guy. That it is cold in upstate New York, so be wary of that. That said, he does have double elbow. I think I said he had bicep swivel, right? He's got gauntlet rotation, and then he's got swivel in the wrist with a hinge. And what you can do with this figure, hope I don't make Evil Villain cringe too bad, you can pop this gauntlet off, and you can pop this little ditty on. It's a little bit tough the first time around, but once you get the hang of it, it's pretty easy. Setting him there. You also get this piece, which plugs into the arm, like so. Which can be easier said than done. There. And now he's got an arm that's been lopped off, which is pretty cool. And I don't believe these will work on the claw shredder. I don't think he's got limbs that pop off that allow you to do that. But if you get multiples of this guy, you can have multiple severed arm effects here. Let me try and get this on, because this is pretty awkward, to say the very least. It's like not really a good spot to grip onto it. There we go. Then of course the bottom arms, it's the same thing. A little bit more range of movement in the hinge, just because there's not a big shoulder pad in the way, but you do have the top arm in the way, so it'll only go so far. Other than that, it's the same range throughout. I neglected to mention, though, he does not have the appropriate hinge in the grip hands. They're the in and out hinges instead of the up and down ones that I like, but it is what it is. Most people probably ain't even going to use those. They're probably just going to keep them stock like this, with the style pose hands and the fist hands. That said, he does have a waist cut, so that works fine. It does not feel like a ball socket like Hudson, which I can't say that NECA does a lot of ball socket waist, but I think in this case they could have done like a Mythic Legion's torso and had that be ball jointed, so you can crunch him forward a little bit, but it's fine. It's okay. He's got T-jointed hips, move forward and back. He can do the splits pretty good. His tunic actually is slit on the side to allow you to move him out. Excuse me. So that's good. He's got a thigh cut. I don't know if that's on the hip ball itself. It's not. He's got an actual thigh cut that does work just fine. Then he's got a double knee, which is nice and tight. And then nothing in the boot, which is really the only other point you could ask for. Figure with 4 arms. But he does have a hinge in the foot with a rocker, and he's got peg holes at the bottom of the feet. He's got the little camel toe shoes. So, really cool figure. Possible contender for one of my tops of the year if I pick one up. And I say if because here's where I got a bone to pick with NECA. Because for whatever reason, they just don't like to complete my teams, at least not in a reasonable fashion. So, obviously, you know, we haven't got all the gargoyles from the Manhattan Clan yet, which is somewhat understandable. They are a little bit more complicated than this, maybe, sort of, with those wings and all. But they decided to pack the third clone shredder in the Loot Crate subscription box dealio that went up for sale, I want to say 2 years ago just about now, is when everyone was getting the third stimulus check, I think, somewhere around there. Give you guys an idea of when that happened. And I think it might have actually been closer to April, but who's counting? It's hard to keep track of time now when reality is a pain in the nuts. So, the Claw Shredder was part of that. I want to say that that subscription was fairly expensive. Like, we're talking maybe like $1,000 or something. Was that how much it was? There's like 4 or 5 boxes of stuff. And you get like shirts and shit and all this other swag, which your boy don't care about. Okay. So, for those of you who do, that's fine, but I'm talking about me, not you. Get your own channel if you want to do that. Here's the deal. The only thing I wanted out of that whole thing was the Claw Shredder. And I don't know if they're going to re-release that, but I find it pretty stupid to put a character from a 3-member team in an expensive paywall when you make the other one available at retail. Now, if it was like a 3-pack that was exclusive somewhere, that's different. Like if they sold all 3 at Comic-Con, that was the only way you could get them, that'd be different. If they sold all 3 in the subscription box thing, that would have been different. But instead, you can get these 2 at Target right now. My Target had like 6 of these. And you could only get the Claw Shredder from the subscription box. That seems kind of stupid to me. But then again, NECA does also sell those dumbass NFTs, so what should I really expect, right? And for those of you who are like, you'll buy a Gargoyles one, I don't know. I really don't, because I don't spend money on shirts and swag and shit. I have no use for that stuff. That stuff's fine, that's cool. If you collect that stuff, that's great. I'm happy for you, but I'm in it for the toys, man. This is a toy channel. I want to branch out and do other things, but covering swag and junk boxes ain't one of them, and I just have no interest in that type of stuff, like pins and stickers and patches and things. My apparel consists of sweatpants and blank t-shirts. That's all I need. I'm happy with that. If I want like a really cool shirt, I will have it custom made. Like, it will be made my way or the highway, because I'm very picky when it comes to shirts. Well, this is a concert shirt, and those typically are pretty good, but yeah, so pretty stupid you can't complete this team. Pretty stupid that I can't complete any teams that are made by NECA because they either take forever or they put them in a dumbass expensive paywall situation like Claw Shredder. So I really don't know if I'm going to get this guy or not. I want to, really bad, but not being able to get that third Shredder is really putting a kibosh in that. So yeah, for those of you who are going to be like, you spend money on other stuff, here's the deal. I'm also not monetized like probably most of you, and probably make less than most of you. So, suck on that. So, with that being said, now that I've lost half of my subscribers, before this gets any worse than it already has, let's now move on and take a look how these guys scale with our 2 regulars for size comparison, since we do not have the Claw Shredder to compare them to because NECA is stupid and put them in a dumbass subscription box program. Sue me. And as promised, here is both Mutant Shredders alongside our 2 regulars, the Mythic Legion's Brother Mandibulus, Livid Spawn, who to my surprise still towers over everyone despite the fact that the taller of our 2 Mutant Shredders is packing 4 arms. I would have thought the extra pair of arms would have elongated his torso enough to give him a bit of a height advantage towards good old Al Simmons here, but not today. So that being said, time to wrap things up with some final thoughts. Overall, and aside from the fact you gotta be rich to complete teams anymore, I actually thoroughly enjoy this 2-pack, question mark? I don't know, it's more of a 2-pack than that joke of a Spider-Man noir with Spider-Ham, right? That said, if you're okay with not being able to complete the team if you missed out on the Loot Crate with the Claw Shredder, then by all means pick this up. I think for the price point, you're getting what you're paying for here. These are 2 100% unique sculpts that I don't know if they'll reuse again, at least not until they maybe do the 2003 Turtles. because really they could recycle a lot of parts from these to make those. They just really need to swap out the heads, I think. Other than that, though, I could see a lot of people passing on this, mostly because, well, again, you had to sign up for that Loot Crate subscription in order to complete this team, which at the time, we didn't know if they were going to complete or not, because, well, look at how long it took them to make Warduke, for crying out loud. So, with that being said, hope you guys enjoyed this review. If you're so inclined, please feel free to do all the YouTube rigmarole, as well as hit me up over on Instagram at Overlord Productions if you ever want to talk toys or anything in particular. That's the #1 best way to get a hold of yours truly. But as always, keep the comments civil, because the world sucks enough as it is, especially when NECA's pulling some Hasbro-ass bullshit with this price lock and completing teams nonsense. Like, Hasbro did it with Pretty Boy, because if you want to complete your Reavers from X-Men, you got to buy that Villains 5-pack, which has 2 decent figures, like really decent figures in Pretty Boy and Strife, and then 3 total dumpster fire dog shit piles of garbage. And in order to complete this team, you got to spend roughly $100 on a bunch of stuff you don't want and a really cool looking claw shredder. So, I don't know. Companies are making it really hard to collect anything anymore, and well, I'm just not here for it. So, with that being said, till next time, I'll catch you guys later.